Marvel Cosmic Invasion is a 90s inspired superhero beat-em-up that is a comic book lover's dream.
Don't worry, Chuck. I got my can openers right here.
If you like Marvel Comics and were alive in the 1990s, you're going to love Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Plain and simple. A clear harken back to what was arguably the IP's undeniable pre-MCU heyday, I can't think of a much better pairing than the studio behind TMNT Shredder's Revenge and a beat-em-up populated by the likes of Spider-Man, Wolverine, and more oddball characters such as Beta Ray Bill and Phyla-Vell. The truth is that it's been a long time, too long in fact, since we've had a proper 16-bit style throwback of this ilk set in the Marvel realm. Expectations were understandably high as a result, yet luckily Tribute Games has managed to deliver. True, Cosmic Invasion doesn't do too much to diversify the core genre format, but a generous roster of playable heroes couples with a universe-bending narrative to make the act of beating up comic book villains always a good time.
Destroy the interloper!
Of course, one thing that was never in question, especially given the studio's caliber, was the way Marvel Cosmic Invasion looks. Although definitely using classic beat-em-up arcade games and 90s series like Spider-Man and X-Men as inspiration, Cosmic Invasion mixes chunky character sprite work with a glitzy color palette to make taking on waves of goons feel like you're watching a legit Saturday morning kids TV show. It's not all that hard to imagine this punchy action leaping out of the screen. Said aesthetic brings a much welcome sense of cohesion to a story that regularly has you hopping from, say, New York City to Asgard and back again, channeling this controlled chaos through a whole host of equally as diverse heroes. Speaking of which, after learning that Marvel Cosmic Invasion aimed to launch with a staggering 15 playable characters, I'll admit I worried whether each would feel unique enough from each other. Well, the truth is, I needn't have worried. Because although every character does indeed slot into a specific superpower category, be they a tank, a high flyer, or otherwise, Tribute has done an excellent job with the animation work to ensure that not one ever quite looks or handles the same. Whether it's the way the Venom symbiote will lurch off of Eddie's body with every punch, or how Rocket Raccoon scampers across the screen when laying mines, there's simply a lot of attention to detail present that solidifies the true believer status of the devs over at Tribute. The amount of love poured into these characters further comes into play thanks to the game's unique Cosmic Swap ability. You see, since Cosmic Invasion doesn't limit you to playing as just one character at a time, being able to switch between two on the fly allows you to create all kinds of interesting superhero team-ups, some that would make sense in a typical Marvel comic book, and some that might not. Wolverine duking it out alongside Silver Surfer? Some of the scenarios are absolutely bonkers, and they're only made possible due to the entire galaxy's need to defeat Annihilus. Swapping isn't just a visual gimmick either, since chaining it amongst conventional light and heavy attack combos sees your alternate hero swoop in and swoop out briefly to offer some assistance. A good thing too, since Marvel Cosmic Invasion would largely play like any other retro-fueled beat-em-up otherwise. Having said that, it does pay to play off of and harness each character's strengths to tailor them to your preferred playstyle. I'm not usually one to play as a tank in this type of game, for example, but She-Hulk's grabs and ground pounds does well to give me space amongst heavy enemy crowds, or perhaps my favourite character, the otherwise stupidly powerful Nova, would potentially struggle, particularly when combined with the interactable elements of stages that might see you bash a turret to fire it or unleash electric bombs from above. Marvel Cosmic Invasion builds upon its familiar beat-em-up foundation to just about carve out a fresh identity and feel. Where Marvel Cosmic Invasion is slightly less successful is in the simplicity of its progression. And don't get me wrong, this is hardly something I expect from the genre, yet I'd be lying if I said that what Tribute has attempted to capture when making your heroes feel more powerful is largely bare bones, at least in a practical sense. Completing levels with certain characters sees them level up, increasing their health and focus, the latter of which can be built up to unleash each one's special attack. Although not terrible, this sense of getting better is a bit basic, and it would have been nice to see some more in-depth customization in terms of how each hero plays. Thankfully, a lot more successful is the list of unlockables, which are tied to the same great challenge system that was also present in Shredder's Revenge. It did well there to up the game's replayability factor, and it works just as well here in Cosmic Invasion, encouraging me to try out certain characters in order to tick off certain tasks specific to them, from finishing off a boss with someone specific to performing one character's move a certain number of times. None of the challenges are that tricky to complete, yet it works beautifully to force me out of my comfort zone. Plus, Tribute has assured that these extra efforts are always rewarded by way of cosmic cubes, which can then be used to unlock cool bonuses like alternative costumes, character profiles, level music tracks, and gameplay modifiers exclusive to the arcade mode. It shouldn't be too surprising to learn that, in traditional beat-em-up fashion, Marvel Cosmic Invasion is fairly short. A single playthrough of its 16 levels took me roughly 5 hours, but this can easily be extended for those wanting to level up each character, tick off every challenge, or undertake the customizable arcade mode where lives are suddenly limited. Boss battles were the absolute highlight of the story mode for me, particularly since all don't just come down to needing to provide endless beatdowns. There's always at least one combat twist that forces you to think differently. In fact, my only real complaint about the story is Annihilus himself, which ends up being a weak ultimate villain since he's always kept at arm's length until the very end. Bumping up against Galactus, Thanos, and other big bads in the lead up was a thrill, but Tribute had a real chance here to make a relatively unknown villain their own, and I don't think they fully succeeded. But hey, story in a beat 'em up, it's not exactly what you come to this style of game for. Overall then, Marvel Cosmic Invasion is a beautiful and brilliant take of the wider Marvel universe realised in beat-em-up form. Although Annihilus isn't fully utilised and character progression is overly basic, the act of repeatedly pummeling endless goons as an incredibly varied roster of superheroes, both obscure and familiar, never fails to be fun, either when playing solo or with up to 3 friends. Tribute Games has given Cosmic Invasion the same degree of love, attention to detail, and variety as it did with TMNT Shredder's Revenge, and it results in a 90s inspired brawler that feels undeniably modern while still evoking the magic of the arcade classics. Excelsior! We at All Out Gaming give Marvel Cosmic Invasion a 4 out of 5.
Too much power unchecked! Annihilus must be taken down!
So there you have it guys, in terms of our full review for Marvel Cosmic Invasion. I know there's been a lot of excitement around this one, so do you plan on picking it up? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Then, why not subscribe to the All Out Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
I sense gatherings of the power cosmic here. Annihilus will want to claim it for his own.
Oh, we won't let Bug Boy get away with it.
We shall not. The power cosmic belongs to someone else.
Galactus, hunger.